I mean, there's times, right, where it gets difficult, but you got to realize that the sun's going to rise the next day.
Yeah.
And, right, no one's feeling sorry for you. You got to go attack it.
First we gonna rock, then we gonna fold, then we let it pop, don't let it go.
All right. Welcome to another episode of the Bring the Juice podcast. I'm your host, Frank Dalena. Today on the pod, we have Fresno State Offensive Coordinator, my former wide receiver coach, and one of my mentors in my young adulthood, Kirby Moore. Coach Moore, say what's up to Bring the Juice Nation. Come on now, get it fired up.
Appreciate you having me on, Frank. Let's go, man. Let's have a good one.
Oh, we're about to get after it today. Out of the gate, Coach Moore, you played football at Boise State. Got the privilege of getting to play with your older brother, which is awesome. I had Tyler Horton on a few weeks back, who also played at Boise State. He brushed on the culture there. But I don't want to talk about that. What was it like just getting the opportunity to play with your big bro?
Yeah, it was a unique experience for sure. I mean, he's 2 years older. We grew up playing sports together, so there was a little bit of that. And then high school, during my recruiting process, fortunately, it became a little bit clearer. I was going into my senior year, and as a redshirt freshman, Kellen was named the starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. So, right, it was very enticing and had the opportunity to go there, and it was a great experience, and we were able to, win quite a few games.
So between your experience ending with Boise State and your current role of being on the staff of Fresno State football, I know you had some journeys in between. It wasn't just one to the other. How hard, one of the things I talk about on the pod is the transition from going to those high-level athletics to you're thrown into the real world. What was your experience like in the transition, and do you have any advice for the younger folk going through the same thing?
I think just for sure trying to figure out exactly what you love. When you love what you do, I mean, it doesn't feel like work. And for me, right after my playing experience, I got into medical sales, which was a great job. Right. But at the same time, I didn't feel like it was going to be a career for me. My previous head coach, Chris Peterson, took the head coaching job at Washington. There was about 8 months there where I was working in medical sales, and I was helping out at an NAIA school, College of Idaho, Cradle of Coaches there in Caldwell, and it was awesome. And I learned very quickly through trial and error, right, how to teach and really like this is where I should be.
Right.
Okay. And then got the opportunity to go to Washington with Coach Peterson there in December, and I just knew that was the right fit for me.
Right. In the medical sales, I mean, you're lowballing those few months because that isn't football. And again, I think you realized, hey, I need to be in love with this game. I need to be a part of it some way, shape, or form. That's why you went back to it. But how are those? I mean, those months are tough, man. Like I've gone through it. Like it's Where's your head at? Are you trying to take the same principles to hey, would you like to buy a heart rate monitor or what was it?
Your headspace. I mean, you definitely it tests you. And there's certain times in the year, right, where you're usually amping up for whether it's spring ball and fall camp, and that wasn't going on. Yeah. Obviously, I got the opportunity to help out at College of Idaho there in the summer, and so that kept me busy during the fall. But it was it was difficult at times, but I knew kind of what my goals were, and I fortunately had that opportunity to go to Washington.
That transition and having, like you said, that time of year when it comes about, Coach Tedford said on his episode here at Bring the Juice, you kind of get this itch literally this week.
Yeah.
Like the week before August 1st, because if you've been through it, camp's about to start.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, that's just a lot of testosterone at a very high level, a group of people going towards a huge common goal.
Yep. And I've been fortunate to be a part of a lot of great teams. Whether you high school, we had some really good teams, college, and then getting into coaching. And I was actually doing the math last night. This is going into my 13th fall camp.
Ever.
Right. Ever. And that's full fall camp. That's playing, that's coaching. College of Idaho, I would say that's 14th, but I was kind of working at the same time, so I wouldn't say that was a full camp.
What, for people that don't understand camp, and I think you're in the young enough realm of coaches to where you experienced it as a player, like the modern era of camp, and also now that you're on the other side of the coin, how would you tell, if you're on an airplane and you were like, oh yeah, we're starting camp next week, what would you tell people camp is?
I would tell them camp is very similar to Groundhog's Day. And it is, right, you kind of lose track of the days, but the schedules stay pretty similar in terms of, right, you got your morning activation, breakfast, meetings, get out on the practice field, film, review, and your meals at night, your more meetings at the end of the night. You got your walkthroughs, and then repeat that the next day and leading up to the first game.
That was a good elevator pitch, but there's a lot that goes in. I mean, it's just long days. It's very long days. You get there when it's dark. You leave when it's dark. You're there. You're not really, as a player at least, there's not enough time to like take your mind off things. Like your mind's always on it. There's little time to rest. I think the older you get, the more you mature, the more you become a professional. You realize, hey, I don't want to go home and watch TV. I got to get in the training room. I'd rather ice bath an extra 20 minutes, get stretched out, foam roll, do the boots, all these things because, injuries happen. Staying healthy is one of the key. I think one of the most slept on variables in athletics when you get to a higher level, where so many people are trying to take your spot. Even at the professional level, you're going to take another man's job, literal job he pays with his family, to feed his family, and you got to stay healthy. So you're going to do everything in your power to keep yourself healthy or recover from injuries, and that takes a sense of maturity. So, Kirby, when I think about your why as a player, and then why as a coach now, what gets you up out of bed, fired up, ready to bring the juice, ready to attack each day? Because you're either the hammer or the nail.
No doubt. I'm a competitor at heart. I love the game of football. Obviously, you haven't had a ton of support through my family, and I love it, and I want to be the best.
Yeah. So what's the ultimate goal in your coaching career then, you think?
I don't necessarily set long-term goals. I think I'm always looking at the short term.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's a good way to be.
In terms of, to elevate, or even from a player's perspective, right? The only way to get a new role is to excel at your current role.
I like that.
And so that's something that I'm always trying to attack, and that's really been my philosophy through coaching and playing.
So football is a game where a lot of swings of events can happen, a lot of ins and outs, a lot of highs and lows. When adversity strikes, what's your initial reaction?
Minor setback, major comeback. That's been instilled. My dad would do these 10 football fundies before every game on Friday nights with the team, and that was number 5. And I'll always remember that, never forget it. Saw it firsthand with guys at the high school level, college level, NFL. You see it all the time, right? And that's in life, that's in football. You got to have that mentality.
No, you have to. And it's definitely easier said than done.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's times, right, where it gets difficult, but you got to realize that the sun's going to rise the next day.
Yeah.
And, right, no one's feeling sorry for you. You got to go attack it.
I think the game of football, it's even exaggerated more because, I know we've all played multiple sports in our life. I know you're a competitor. You're always, lifting still now on the Stairmaster, doing your thing.
Like you.
Well, okay, staying limber. I get it. But football is a game of such emotion to where I feel like when adversity does strike, it's illuminated, and it does take a sense of maturity, a sense of a little bit of grit, a little bit of grinding your teeth. You got to take a few on the chin sometimes and be able to swallow that and say, I'm not going to flinch right now. Like you said, on to the next one. It comes with time, and I think in order to succeed, there's always going to be some sort of failure before that.
Yep.
In your experience with people, though, both as a coach, as a player, in your medical sales experience, growing up, you're a family man now, have a new child. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
When I first met you, didn't have any kids. Now you got 2.
We got 2 rolling around now.
Wow.
They're running the show.
Well, congratulations to that. But in your experience with just people, if you want to be in the top 1% as a competitor, what is the ultimate character trait that you need to be in that top 1%?
For me,
I know I'm good at these questions.
I'm always talking to our guys, the quarterbacks right now, about you got to find a way to be better than your competition or be different. And so there's a lot of different ways you can do that. I mean, and you want to find that edge, right?
Yeah.
And kind of always have that mentality. And there's different ways to, gain that confidence and gain that edge. And so that's something we're always trying to do.
One thing I'm confident in is the taste of the chicken sandwich at Dervo's Deli. Have you heard of Dervo's Deli?
I have not been. I need to.
Okay. Well, Dervo's Deli is one of the biggest supporters of the Bring the Juice podcast. They have a phenomenal chicken sandwich that I rap about constantly. Crispy lettuce, toasted bun, fresh chicken. They have this nice aioli on there. But more than anything, the people there are great. The atmosphere is great. It's good for the dogs. Huge supporters of the Bring the Juice podcast. So shout out to Dervo's Deli. And secondly, Fresno First Bank. You've seen Fresno First Bank's commercials.
They got some great commercials.
Wow.
Coach Pat Hill, backs.
Hey, the boys get after it at Fresno First Bank. But they also are a local bank to Fresno and to the community that have a strong connection to business owners, and they want to help you grow and succeed. That's ultimately what it is. When you walk in there, they give you a head nod, a high five, a handshake, a what's up, a go dogs, a hey, I love that last episode of Bring the Juice. And they're never too busy for you. It's always direct contact. Right when you walk in, they personalize the customer experience every single day. And if you are looking for a definitive banking experience where they're going to treat you like a family, treat you like a friend, treat you like a neighbor, like good Fresno folks do, then this is the place you need to be. Fresno First is the go-to, and that's all I gotta say about that.
Let's go.
All right, transition. I announce my transitions. Who's the best wideout in the game right now? Right now.
Yeah,
right
I'd
now.
say someone
why?
a lot of people Fresno State know, Davante Adams. I mean, he's from a consistency standpoint, creating separation, catch radius, yards after catch. I mean, he just shows up all over the field in a bunch of different areas.
What do you think? Okay, obviously he is the package right now. He is the package. Who would you say is the best route runner individually right now? I know you watch a lot of film. That's why I ask. And I had the wideouts on a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say I'm watching a little bit more quarterback film and offensive film right now.
Yeah, but you got to stick to your roots. Wideouts are wideouts.
There's some different guys. Stephon Diggs, I would say, is a really good route runner right now. Mm-hmm. And I would say, again, Davante Adams is right there at the top of that.
How important is yak in today's game? I know Debo had a great year last year when it came to yak. Cooper Kupp won a Triple Crown this year.
Yep.
How could you not want to play like Cooper Kupp right now?
Yeah. Yep. Triple Crown. And Cooper Kupp's another guy who, from a route running standpoint, very detailed, understanding, right, hey, what's my alignment, what's my landmark, and yards after catch. I know everyone thinks about when you catch it at 5 and you take it 85, but it's so subtle, right? You catch it at 5, you get 12, you get 15, that stuff adds up. Cooper Kupp, next thing you know, he's got 170.
I had him on a fantasy team last year. I won the league.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cooper Kupp.
Yeah,
I appreciate that stuff. You know, when I had the wideouts on a couple weeks ago, we were kind of discussing this question, and Hunter Renfrow got brought up.
Yep.
And I think one thing about Hunter Renfrow is that I think it was Zane had a good point of he's good at his own routes.
Yep.
But if you're a younger kid watching a guy like Hunter Renfrow, that's a hard guy to mimic in certain instances, I would say.
Yeah, I could see that. And he might not have the highlight go balls and posts and post corners, but from a route running standpoint, from a understanding the concepts and he's exactly where he needs to be, when he needs to be there. Quarterback, he's dependable for the quarterback, and so obviously he's got paid for a reason.
Yeah, he did get paid for a reason. Who's the best competitor you think right now in all of sports? Okay, let's go all time. Because I had Jake Kanner on the pod earlier. We had a really good answer. He said Tiger Woods.
Okay. I would say after watching that documentary, I would agree with that. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have.
I mean, in terms of...
The one with his dad?
Yeah, in terms of with his dad and right, him and Phil Mickelson, they're at the top of their game, and he sees this guy as, right, I'm not going to beat him, I'm going to dominate him.
Yeah.
And in terms of just the level that he was playing at and where he's still at, right, in terms of his competitive drive and spirit. So I think that's a really good answer.
Tiger Woods is your GOAT. He's of the greatest competitor of all time.
I mean, it's up there. There's probably someone else, but for right now, I think that's someone that's definitely at the forefront.
Okay, this is another question we had to bring the juice that I think you'll have a good answer for. You know who Joey Chestnut is?
I do.
Okay. Scenario here. This was big on a couple episodes back. You know who Usain Bolt is?
I do.
Okay. Joey Chestnut eats a lot of hot dogs. Usain Bolt's really fast, right?
Yeah.
So if they had a race where they said, on your mark, get set, go. They both have to polish a hot dog.
Okay.
Tongue stuck out, has to be completely gone. And then they could start their 100-yard dash.
I'm still taking Usain Bolt.
You think Usain Bolt is going to start a 100-yard dash, finish this hot dog, and then beat Joey Chestnut in 100 meters?
Yeah, there's no question.
Couldn't be more wrong. Let's debate about it. I want to hear about it. Tell me your logic.
I mean, put him on the clock.
Okay, let's go right now. So, I'm going to do the math for you.
Okay.
Joey Chestnut could eat 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
Okay.
That's 7.6 dogs. 7.6
You're saying
seconds
one hot dog
per dog.
Yeah.
That's his
Okay.
ratio there.
Yep. And you're saying it's one hot dog.
They each need to polish a hot dog, and then they can start running.
How far?
100 meters.
Yeah.
Usain still?
Yeah.
I don't think Usain Bolt could eat a hot dog in less than 15 seconds. Joey Chestnut's already 50 yards in. There's not enough room to close.
I disagree.
So you think Usain Bolt could eat a hot dog in less than 15 seconds?
I think he's a competitor and he'll find a way.
How fast can you eat a hot dog?
Haven't ate one in a while.
Just dietary or...
Yeah, just trying to stay away from
Not
that.
even like 4th of July or anything?
No, I'm going with the burgers.
Were there sweet D onions on those burgers?
Might have been.
Whoa! I love to hear it. So, you are on the younger end of coaching right now. How has that journey of being... I've seen you on a few lists, like the top 30 under 30. Probably going to put you on a 30 for 30 eventually about how successful you are at a young age. But what is the... not persona, but what are the advantages of being a younger coach in the college football world of today?
I would say there's definitely some relatability with the guys in between the lines and what they're going through, and maybe, right, you've just gone through some of that stuff and where it's evolved and where it's going. And then from a teaching standpoint, I think where technology's at, and clips and videos and film and huddles and the iPad and playbooks now, right? They're not printing out, we're uploading that stuff. And so I think that really helps from a efficiency standpoint and a teaching standpoint.
I can see that for sure. I mean, some people, I'm not the most tech savvy guy in the world, don't get me wrong, but you are, for instance, you could send over 30 clips of a Devontae Adams type guy, say, hey guys, look this over. Whatever it might be.
You can find things. And then in the meeting room, I would say one thing that's always stuck with me the last couple years, and some of it's through previous experience, maybe rooms I was in that maybe I would have done it different. And instead of telling someone what to do, really showing them.
Right.
And it's easy to say, hey, run this at this depth, but showing them and giving them the clip and giving them whether it's an indie clip, whether it's another college team running it, NFL clip, I think that stuff helps guys in terms of really visualizing it.
I know you're critical on, I don't know if you're critical, but one thing I always appreciated is the concept of taking notes.
Yeah.
Writing crystallizes your thinking.
Yep.
Why? I know Coach Tedford preaches that, but me being in your room, I've always taken that. And I've taken that with me. I go everywhere with a notebook. Yeah. I believe even if you had to write one thing down, write it down anyways, even if you know it 100 times over. Yeah. How did that originate?
I think some of that stuff sticks with you. And for me, it started with Chris Peterson. And he would tell a story when he's a big Niners guy from the Bay Area. And so when he was early in his coaching career, he would go to Niners training camp. Yeah. Okay, before they would start their own training camp in college. And Jerry Rice, a goat for sure, would show up with the rookies, didn't have to, would show up with the rookies. He would be in the front of the meeting room, and he would be taking notes on the day one install, right? He doesn't have to do that.
No, doesn't have to.
And so those stories, and you look at the people who've excelled, they're there for a reason. And so that really stuck with me, and it was kind of the culture that we had at Boise at the time, and I think that's carried over at a number of places.
I know you've told us stories. Your brother Kellen is a coach for the Cowboys. Yep. I know you've gone to some coaching clinics. You've been a part of some great teams with some great head mentors. Got to see some great players do some great things. Who are some people that you read, listen, outsource, look up to, idolize, to keep you growing? Because again, you're not getting better, you're getting worse.
I wouldn't say one. I think there's so many different resources now with social media. There's a lot of different books out there. You got a Jocko Extreme Ownership book. I've read that one.
It's a great book.
I think there's It Takes What It Takes with Trevor Moab, right? He's worked with Alabama. He's worked with Russell Wilson. And then in terms of networking, right, with the ability now to Zoom, I've probably Zoomed with 5 to 7 coaches just during this July period, right? And you're trying to stay sharp and figure out what other people are doing and kind of how it connects with what you're doing, how they're teaching, how they're coaching this, right? Because once you feel like you've arrived, man, someone's passing you up.
Every time. And
so I think that's something you're always should be aware of, and just always trying to get better.
If you had the opportunity to, pick one coach's brain, who would it be right now?
For me, Steve Sarkisian is a guy who's had a lot of ups and downs in coaching, and he's been at a number of really good places, been around the best players. You look at college, you look at the NFL. He's been on the West Coast. He's been at Alabama. Now he's at Texas.
Right.
From an offensive standpoint, he's one of the best play callers in football,
right?
And designers and quarterback coaches. So that would be a guy definitely for me that I would want to pick his brain.
Well, that's a very well-rounded answer, I feel like, because he has, there's the X's and O's side of the game, the concept side of the game and all that. But there's also I'm a human being who's, it ain't an easy business to be in. I mean, there's a lot of variables going into this thing. Ultimately, you have to win to keep your job. You got to win to keep growing.
He's been on both sides of it. He's won national titles. He's been with the Atlanta Falcons, and they went in a different direction at one point.
Yeah.
And then he goes to Alabama, has 2 really good years, head coach of Texas.
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah.
How often, I know I already talks about you getting the opportunity to play with your brother in college, but now that you're both offensive coordinators, do you ever call him on the drive home like, hey, Kellen, what am I missing here or anything like that?
It definitely comes up from time to time. We were just with each other and the families and my parents over the 4th of July. And so, when the kids go to sleep, there's naturally some football conversation about, hey, we're doing this, you're doing that. At the same time, I do think the NFL is a little bit of a different game. Right, the hashes are a little bit tighter. College, everything's a little bit wider. You got the far hash, but from an offensive standpoint, organization standpoint, I would be naive not to pick his brain quite a bit.
Yeah, well, shit. I mean, even if you're your older brother, like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
What? Wow, that's pretty good. I like that. I like that. I was talking to somebody about this a couple days ago too. Like, I'm in a position in my life, you've gone a hell of a lot more deep into the football game than me, but I can't sit back on my couch on a Monday night football game and just watch the Tennessee Titans play against the Jacksonville Jaguars and just be like, oh, cool, first down. Like, I'm constantly analyzing the offensive scheme. I'm an offensive guy.
Yep.
So I don't care who's on offense. I'm analyzing what the hell they're doing and what's going on and why. Can you sit down and just watch a football game?
No, it's impossible. It really is. And I try to not be that way, but at the same time, and usually I keep it internal, but in terms of what I'm watching and processing, I'm thinking of what they're trying to do in terms of maybe pre-snap, how the defense is lining up, and the scheme, and sometimes it's all right. Hey, I want to tag this clip, right, and I want to show it to the guys the next day, and so from that perspective, you're always watching the game and evaluating it probably from a coach's perspective.
Well, I mean you're from a coach's perspective. I'm just a guy who did it for a period of time. Like, it's you sit in a group of a room of people and you'll be like, that guy's so crappy at coverage. He's wide open. It's like, no, the tight end set a pick across the middle.
I think that's unfortunate. You look across college, the NFL, and media, and sometimes I don't know if everyone knows the full story in terms of
they never do
what the intent of maybe the offense was doing or the defense was doing, and right, really the corner should have had help on that play, or maybe the line or the receiver or quarterback, right, eyes are in the wrong spot. So there's a lot of different factors.
No, yeah, there is for sure, and like it's part of the game, but I can't do it, man. I want to just enjoy a nice football game, but it's like I can't not watch an offensive series and be like, what is going on here? Not really the run plays, because it's like, all right, we're trying to get 3-4 yards. Get yourself in a manageable second down.
Yeah.
2nd and 6, great position.
Yeah.
We're in great position.
Let's go.
What is your, from an offensive coordinator mindset now?
Yeah.
Because you've had to make that shift.
Yeah.
How are you? Because you haven't even. I mean, this is your first full season.
Correct. Called the bowl game, but yes.
1-0.
Yeah.
1-0. 1-0. What is your? Are you gonna change up your pregame routine, your mentality? I don't think your mentality will change, but there is no whiteout huddle. There is no gummy. There's no smelling salts right before. Nothing like that. Like you're the one giving the pep talk to the offense before this year.
No, you got to be who you are.
Yeah.
Right. And everyone's different in that way. And I've had a number of really good coaches and mentors from an offensive coordinator standpoint, right? Brian Harsin, Brent Pease, Robert Prince at Boise, and then at Washington was able to learn under Jonathan Smith, and then being at Fresno with KD and Grubber. And so you got to be who you are at the same time. For me, it's just so much about the players, right?
Yeah.
And not the plays, and letting those guys excel and play fast. And so really looking forward to letting those guys go here soon.
You definitely know what juice is. I know you know it firsthand.
Yeah.
What football's such an electric game. What would you say is your personal most electric experience in the game of football? The most juiced up moment you've had. You could go as a player and as a coach. How about that? Because I know that's a hard one. It's a big one.
I would say as a player, I was fortunate to play as a true freshman at Boise, and we played in the Fiesta Bowl in 2009.
Is this a Statue of Liberty game?
Season? No, it was the second Fiesta Bowl.
Oh.
Okay, so there's been probably a little bit less pub on that one, but
were you at that game though?
I was not. I declined the offer to go to the first Fiesta Bowl, being young and dumb, and my brother was committed to Boise at the time.
Yeah.
My dad's like, "Hey, you want to go to the game?" I'm like, "No, I'm going to stay home."
Yeah.
Right.
Good call.
Kind of regret it on that one. But from a playing perspective, I would say 2009 season, I think it was 2010 Fiesta Bowl. We played TCU in Arizona, right, Cardinal Stadium, and just it kind of was like fulfilling, coming from a smaller town, smaller community, to being in a bigger stage, right?
Absolutely.
It's 75, 80,000, I don't know the number, but we were 13-0 at the time.
Wow.
Ranked in the top 5 in the country. And so just going onto the field and being able to play and having that experience was unbelievable. It was great.
And as a coach?
Yeah. The 2018 Mountain West Championship was great, and winning on the blue was unique, and guys executing. You're talking about players, not plays. The 2 receivers, and we work on a lot of different. I wouldn't say we work on blocking all the time, but it's such a angles and attitude, and those guys.
Harder restart.
Yeah, and Jameer and Keyshawn, and blocking on the perimeter, and just making that play at the end, and Ronnie picking up his feet, and everyone charging the field, and that was, I'll never forget it. You're always chasing those feelings, right? In terms of, you're never chasing you're chasing that feeling, right? That feeling that you had, because you're never going to get that back.
No, it's you can't even put it into words, those type of moments. It's you kind of just got to be there type of thing. You kind of just got to experience things like that. I think it's hard too. I mean, you grew up in a pretty football prone house.
Yep.
what was it? You know, I'm interested to hear your answer on this. Like, my mom is also a mother in a very football prone house for her sons.
Yeah.
And, you know, my dad played football. Like, did your dad play football?
Yeah.
Okay.
Played at Eastern Illinois.
There you go. So they understand the feeling. They know what like a big win feels like. You can't really explain it to people unless you've kind of been a part of it, even if it's at a high school level, to be honest. What does your mom think of having, what was your guys' household like from a mother's standpoint?
Yeah. I would say my mom's the best, and she's so supportive and understands that football and sports ran the household a good amount.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my parents were educators, and so school was first. And my mom was a fourth grade teacher, and then she became a principal. My dad taught at the high school. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we grew up around the game, right? Like,
yeah, it's part of you.
I mean, it was, you evolved. You started as the T-boy, then you became the ball boy. Then next thing you know, right, you got the red bonnet with the Mustang on it, and you're playing for Prosser High School. And that was what I saw as the big time, honestly. We would go to college practices growing up, and we'd visit different schools for spring ball, but I never really looked at that stuff as the goal. I just looked at Prosser High School as being the big time,
right? And
having a really good career there, and then if other things happen, they happen.
Yeah.
So that was always what I was kind of striving. I wanted to. There were so many guys on those teams that I looked up to.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that's what I was always trying to be one of those guys.
No, I totally get it. And I bring it up because it's just like having a mom who's so supportive for your athletic career, especially, it's one thing if we were all soccer players and my mom plays soccer and she could know the feeling too, that her version of it. But football, it's different. It just is. Yeah. It just is. And to have a mother, I know your mom is too, who's so supportive of something, they never really get to actually fully all the way put the shoulder pads on experience. Like, it's kind of interesting perspective because, I mean, that's just unconditional love, first of all, for most from a mother. But
and the amount of times, right, picking you up, driving you to different camps and practices, and sometimes for me, there's things that my mom's been around the game just as much as anyone, and so sometimes things that she picks up and body language, and it's really good to get her input on things at times. Oh,
dude, my mom's the same way. Like, she could feel how the game's going to go based off how we walk out, how we run out, how warm-ups go, things like that, what the vibe is. But when you're that invested in something, because it takes a lot out of a family. It takes a lot out of a household to say, hey, our son or our sons are, this is what they're going to do. And it is your life when you commit to being a Division I athlete, when you commit to thriving for greatness and playing in the NFL, coaching at the NFL, the collegiate level. It's not something made for the weak-hearted or anything like that.
So they're super supportive. They'll be out here a number of times this fall. They live in Dallas now, so they'll be over there, and they're trying to find any way they can help out possible.
Okay, last question here, okay?
Okay.
I've asked all my Fresno people on this. Would you get the Valley V branded on you? How Bulldog born are you for that? Just a little one, maybe as big as a poker chip. Just a little Valley V. Maybe on the back of the shoulder, behind the arm. I know you're going to have your journeys. Look, how are you 30 yet?
31.
So I haven't seen you in a while. 31. You're going to coach a lot of places. Yeah. Hopefully you end up like the next coach, Jeff Tedford, and you have that fantastic finishing career at Fresno State. We wish you nothing but the best. But, I mean, you got to have a piece of you of the Valley forever. So would you do it in the right setting? What would it take?
That's still that'll be a conversation, right?
That'll be I asked Coach Tedford, and he said it's not a no.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay, so it's not a no.
Yeah.
So maybe like a little, win a couple games.
Yeah.
See how it happens.
We can keep this dialogue going.
If you had to define juice, what would you say?
I would say juice is a contagious energy that someone brings on a consistent basis, no matter the external factors.
Right.
And you're a great example of that. I mean, you were a guy who every day, whatever was going on in your life, right, you brought it every single day.
Have to.
And we talk about it, right? Be where your feet are. That was you.
Right.
You're in the meeting room, right? You're there. You're dialed in. You're on campus. You're on the practice field, right? The juice, and other guys can feel it. And so that's
it's probably contagious.
Yeah, it definitely is. And in terms of, I think it's something that it's a battle. It's not easy, but it's something that when you do it consistently, it definitely can rise the group that you're around.
One thing you used to say that I'll admit to is like, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Because there are days, I always ask my guests, like, what get your ass out of bed? Look, man, you think Tom Brady doesn't have days where his back hurts a little bit, and he knows he's going to get his ass out of bed and work. But there is that point where either you automatically wake up or your alarm goes off. One day, I don't care if it's one day a year, it does happen. It might happen once every 10 years. And you're just like, I just kind of want to. It's cold outside. I'm a little achy today. You whispered a little like, oh shit, here we go again.
Get comfortable.
And you have to be able to trigger yourself in your mind and say, listen, we got to go. We have to get up. You have to get after it right now. Because if not now, then when? Yeah. And if not me, then who?
Yeah.
There's never going to be the perfect scenario for you. So what are you going to do? It's back to my first question. Adversity strikes. Might be right when you wake up.
Yep.
Figure it out. Find a freaking way.
Yeah. And I know that's another is finding a way. And in terms of faking it till you make it, yeah, it's something we've talked about in terms of our guys. And sometimes, right, other guys might not be feeling it as much, and then other guys, right, are bringing the juice, right?
Sure.
It's contagious energy. Next thing you know, right, these guys are chest bumping.
Boom, we're bumping.
Right, they're scoring touchdowns, and we're having the best practice that we've had that week.
I couldn't agree more. Coach Moore, I know you got a lot going on, family to get back to. I appreciate your time. Anything you want to say to bring the Zeus Nation before we go?
No, just appreciate everyone, right, who listens, and look forward to hearing more great episodes from you, and go Dogs.
Wow, go Dogs. Y'all be sure to go out and support your Fresno State Bulldogs this year. Support Bring the Juice. Support Dervos, Fresno First Bank. Coach Moore is going to be calling the plays on the sideline. I expect a lot of juice. I expect a lot.
I'll be upstairs. But
are you?
Yeah.
I want to hear some chatter.
Yeah.
I want to hear some chatter.
Yeah. Maybe you'll hear the box, right?
Yeah, one of those little rumbling or something like that. Another great episode. Get your piss out this week. Fire me up and bring the juice, baby.
First we gonna